Roger Goodell is a cold-hearted ass. And this man has not helped anybody. When you look at the NFL right now, with the money they should be giving to people not playing, players that have put their bodies on the line, the knee injuries, the head injuries, the trauma that these guys have gone through over the years with the CTE and all these destructional things that have happened to these guys' lives, and not get full benefits after walking away from the game and only got $100 million, just shows you how bad of a dude Roger Goodell is. And now you're hearing about collusion of money and guaranteed money and Lamar Jackson getting screwed, or was that they were trying to screw Lamar Jackson. Just tells you one thing about the NFL and how bad the NFL is when it comes to taking care of their own players. Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, all guys. Now, Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson are two not very nice guys. Kyler Murray, who talks in the third person, and Russell Wilson, who we've heard through many different people, and then we've had guys on our show that love him. Russell Wilson is an on and off badass who likes to screw, movie stars or musicians like Ciara. The fact is the NFL Association is being accused of violating Section 17 of the CBA. Now, I don't read contracts. I don't read the CBA and the laws and the rules. What I do know is these guys deserve every bit of the money that they get. These guys are the best players on the field. These are the guys that are running the huddle. These are the guys that are throwing the ball and putting their bodies on the line. Now, the offensive linemen, too. Same thing with the running backs. Why aren't the running backs making the money they deserve? Saquon Barkley got the biggest contract in NFL history this offseason. Why? It wasn't because of the NFL. It was because the Philadelphia Eagles realized this guy helped them win a Super Bowl. This guy had a chance to break Eric Dickerson's record in a season and decided to sit out the final game so he could be healthy for the playoffs. That tells me how great and how important a team needs to be to win a championship. Roger Goodell is making $55 or $58 million right now. He has his own jet. Him and his family have medical bills paid for the rest of their lives if he steps away from the game. You tell me a football player that has those kind of deals. You tell me a football player that has their own jet besides the ones that are making hundreds of millions of dollars. Go ask Boomer Esiason, that's a play-by-play guy right now. He didn't make enough money in those times to survive. Joe Montana going and doing all these autograph signings so he could stay afloat, or on commercials, or all these different commercials that he's in because he needs to make ends meet because he didn't make it in the time. And obviously the game was a completely different game at the time. These players are making tons and tons of money. These owners are making tons and tons of money. These executives are making tons and tons of money. The fact is the NFL needs to figure out what is good and what is right by what the rules show it to be. And I don't think the NFL is following that. And I think the CBA and the NFL and Roger Goodell are a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, and it screws a lot of these other players over, too, when you have to force certain contract incentives in order to get in. Obviously, you're happy that these players are making money, especially with the quarterbacks that are getting a lot of money. But, again, if Kyler Murray, let's say the percentage of the guaranteed contract he didn't get at the time, it might have was a little higher until the ownership or the other ownership swayed it, or Roger Goodell swayed it, because the Chargers owner, Spanos, actually was saying that there was actual contact with the Cardinals owner before they gave him that $260 million deal, which at the time I thought was a lot, and obviously he's been injury-prone since then, so it hasn't worked. But maybe the guaranteed money, if there was a similar percentage, it would have been less. So maybe the Cardinals could have paid somebody else a little more. Maybe they could have kept more of their players from that core that made the couple playoff appearances, instead of having to rebuild and tear everything down around Kyler Murray. And now they're still trying to work their way back up. And then Spanos said with Justin Herbert's contract, many owners were saying, don't give him this amount of guaranteed money. Maybe that's why it took a while for Justin Herbert. He signed right at the start of the season in 2023 after Joe Burrow signed. So you're looking at a case where maybe that could have been avoided, and other players will have to suffer not being able to get that. Like you said, running backs, linebackers, safeties that don't get paid as much money are going to be getting that. Now, we've seen better percentages. Christian McCaffrey on his contract, I think, got 17 of the $18 million guaranteed on his extension, which is fine. But you want to see more of that over time with all of these positions, too. And just sucks the way they're doing this.
How about Jamarcus Russell? Remember when he was drafted? How much money did he make? How long was he in the NFL? Did he deserve the money that he got? Right. And after that, after him and Sam Bradford, what did the NFL do when it came to draft and quarterbacks and getting paid the top money?
Right.
They changed it. They changed the CBA. Why? Because they didn't like what these quarterbacks were making and not providing enough on the football field. That's the problem right now. The NFL, and it's not, I know everybody wants to say it's collusion or this and that. It's not collusion. The NFL is run by the owners. Who helps the owners come out with these laws and these rules? The one and only Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell has his hands dipped in everything. Right. As long as the owners are happy with Roger Goodell doesn't care who he's screwing and what he is doing when it comes down to it. That's what Roger Goodell is all about. And that's why Roger Goodell is not liked by any player. Ask anybody that comes on our show. Ask any ex-player that talks about Roger Goodell what they really want to say about him, and they don't. Mm-hmm. They don't like him because he's a piece of garbage, and he doesn't care about the players. He cares only what the owners tell him to care about.
Yeah, I think Trevor Price was the only player that was like kind of neutral on him.
Yeah, you know why?
Yeah.
Because him and Roger Goodell are butt buddies.
Right. Well,
it's the truth.
Understandably, there's going to be some relationships that are going to have that, but
they are.
But going back to it's also funny that he actually had some funny things to say.
Sorry,
about
Trevor,
Lamar Jackson.
but you know it's true.
He actually had some funny things to say about Lamar Jackson's contract at the time too when he signed it. But nevertheless,
yeah. Let me ask Trevor now what he thinks about Lamar Jackson's contract.
He was more taking a shot to the fact that his mom was his agent or something like that.
Who cares? He's the best quarterback in the NFL.
That's what this is about, though, is that Goodell screwed Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, he did.
Specifically, Lamar Jackson, because the contract for Deshaun Watson was the last big contract right before Lamar's. And because we remember the history of this. They never had guaranteed money in the NFL. Why? Because they didn't want to have to pay aging veterans, like the Jacoby Ellsburys of the world, the Yankees had to pay for years and it didn't ever play, the Carl Pavanos, the guys that don't work
paying
out.
Robinson
You can't cut those guys in football, in baseball, and not pay them. In football, you can. So what did football do? They had the big signing bonuses, right, up front, so you would get the upfront money to make up for the fact you weren't getting the guaranteed money. Then the idiot Browns owner decided to do both and upend the entire system. So Goodell had to step in and try to right the ship and bring that guaranteed money back down. He absolutely colluded. They said he did. The arbitrator said he did. But everyone kind of realized the Browns were stupid and he kind of should have colluded this situation and fixed this situation. It still screwed Lamar Jackson, though. That's what Pablo Torre unearthed, that they admitted that he colluded, and they still didn't punish the NFL anyway. They allowed the case to go to the NFL, not the NFLPA's way.
First of all, the NFL and Roger Goodell got away with Spygate. They've gotten away with everything. And then they went after Tom Brady because of Deflategate. And Deflategate was absolutely ridiculous. It was redundant from what Spygate really screwed the Rams. The Rams should have won that Super Bowl. Yep. They should have won that Super Bowl. But Bill Belichick cheated, and there was tape on it. And what did Roger Goodell do? Because he was Robert Kraft's fisherman buddy, he got rid of the tapes. He burned the tapes. Why? Nobody knows, and nobody saw it but the NFL and the executives of the Patriots. What a bunch of bullcrap. And honest to God truth, Roger Goodell is only there still is because he's every owner's butt buddy. He's probably bending over there on a round table while everybody's butt fucking him in the ass. That's the truth. And I will say the word because it's true. Roger Goodell bends over and he gets it in the ass by every one of those owners. Every one of those owners. Because in the end, as long as he's making $58 million and him and his boys and his family and his wife has lifetime of insurance and his own goddamn jet, he will do whatever it takes, including let Jerry Jones stick an 8-ball up his ass. Okay? It's absolutely ridiculous. And honestly, I will stick up for the NFL players. I think Roger Goodell is a piece of garbage. He should be absolutely thrown to the wolves, thrown to the dogs. How about, why don't we reach out to Michael Vick and let him have his slickers and slacks on that piece of garbage?
Yeah, it's even
that went off the rails.
It's even getting to the point where we haven't seen a lot of these owners like really challenge him to the same level since we talked about it a few weeks ago. The late Jim Irsay, who did have a couple things to say about Goodell later in his career, and now you're even
the only one that was honest,
right? And now you're seeing now in this instance some of the other older school owners turning on him too, probably besides Jerry Jones, but John Mara did Robert Kraft did, like you're saying, they had a good relationship in the past, but now even Robert Kraft is admitting, we were negotiating deals, the Patriots, in that 2021 offseason when they spent a lot of money, and they were saying, don't give them this much guarantee.
Speedy, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you an honest question. Jim Irsay, that story came out about the Vikings and all that other stuff. When did it come out? When did the story come out? When he was a drug addict and it just came out of nowhere and it popped?
It was
when he said what? When he said what? When he attacked Roger Goodell and the NFL. It was weeks before that story came out that this Jim Irsay was popping pills and doing all the garbage that he was doing. How do you think that came out? It wasn't executive. It wasn't the team. This guy's the owner. Nobody was throwing him under the bus.
Of course.
It was the NFL. It was Roger Goodell. Because Roger Goodell screwed one Chucky. What's going on right now with Chucky right now? He can't get a job in college. He can't get a job in the NFL. Why do you think Chucky can't get a job? Because Roger Goodell and Schneider threw this man under the bus while 50 other executives and coaches were on that email, and it never came out. It never came out. Still hasn't come out. And they paid Chucky to keep his mouth shut. When the truth really is, Roger Goodell threw Chucky to the wolves because Chucky was the one that stood up to Roger freaking Goodell. Chucky lost his job with the Raiders. Chucky couldn't even get a job right now at college. He's coaching high school ball, okay? It's absolutely pathetic. Roger Goodell is a piece of friggin' crap. That's what he is, and I will say it proudly, and I don't give a crap if anybody in the NFL don't like it. He's a piece of crap. And that's the way he should be treated. He should be treated like every single player. He's treated like garbage over the years. All those people, all those kids that have CTE, have brain trauma, knee problems, can't help them, medical problems. All these players that have been on this show that have told us the NFL hasn't stood behind them after all those years of giving their bodies on the line. And that is because of Roger freaking Goodell. $100 million. You're going to pay the players that have given their bodies, put their bodies on the line for over 50 years, $100 million, when you're making $58 million a year. Shame on you, Roger Goodell. Shame on the NFL. It's a piece of shit. That's what it is. The NFL is an organization burning a hole in every single sponsorship to take, as they have been doing for over 30 friggin' years. And I have my thoughts to the NFL because I know what the NFL did to me when I went to the Super Bowl in Miami. I know what they did when I had everything. I was ready with credentials. And then I go up to the table and they tell me, "Oh, we lost your credentials." I don't know. I don't know what happened to it. I know what happened to it. Roger Goodell and those stupid executives that don't know nothing and don't really want the truth coming out. Well, guess what? I will spit it, I will shake it, and every single one of those owners will be sticking it to Mr. Goodell every single time they're around that stupid, ugly round table.
Wasn't it Robert Turbin when we had him on the show that said his insurance was literally expiring the day after we had him on the show?
Absolutely.
Like, it was bad.
Pathetic.
It's bad.
Pathetic.
Well, and the worst part is, too, the better the NFL does, the more money Goodell makes.
It's absolutely pathetic. It's crazy.
That's why he has the job for so long, though, right? He's made the owners a buttload of money. You keep paying that guy to do it. If he keeps making you money, that's just an investment for these owners. I mean, he seems like the fakest smile you've ever seen, like a politician. I mean, this guy's basically a politician.
Him and Rob Manfred are the two worst commissioners, and Adam Silver's not even a commissioner. That's the LJA. LeBron James is the commissioner, and Adam Silver's his puppet. He's his ugly Dumbo puppet over there. The only commissioner right now in professional sports that really stands out to know what he's doing, it's crazy to say, is the one that gets booed every time he goes up and he announces, "Oh, welcome to the NHL draft, Gary freaking Bettman." He's the only one that goes out there and does the right thing for their organization. Every one of the other idiots, they're all for themselves and the owners. What a piece of garbage. I'm done with this. Please, let's move on. I'm done. I am so angry at all. You had to bring the story up. I can't stand Roger Goodell. I can't stand the way the NFL treats the players. We've had him on the show. I've stood behind the players, and I will continue. I don't care if the NFL don't like it. Screw them. They don't have to listen to it. But they know I'm telling the truth.